So the most annoying thing when it comes to a dealership is the hidden dealership fees. And I looked at these bikes when I was making my last video, and what I noticed is some dealerships had the price for actually a lower price than what people had it listed on Facebook for. And that to me was like, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. They'll actually list it for a little bit lower to make it more competitive with the other bikes, and they hide those fees until you actually get there. This bike right here is a great example. If it's listed for this price and that price ends up turning into like 8K, that is just annoying. And to me, that's straight up just lying to people. You're always going to have to pay these annoying fees anyways, tags, title, all that BS. That is standard any way you buy a bike. But that to me is the most annoying thing, is the hidden dealership fees. That's why I like private party. I can see all these prices that aren't deceiving. They don't hit you with this fee, that fee, this fee. They actually list it for a little bit higher than they typically want. Let's say we're asking 6.5 and we put OBO in there. So you offer 6, yeah, sure, I'll take that. Sure, it might need a few things, but at least I know the price I'm going to be negotiating with. So I get a ballpark of what I'm paying. Because when it's being sold by a dealership, it's already at a markup price. And when they hit you with all these fees, they're just trying to get every single dollar out of you. And that's annoying. So the next thing is how the bike is valued. You have dealership retail, private party, auction, and trade-in. Auction is where dealerships go to actually buy bikes. So I'm not going to cover that one too much. But dealership retail is the most that a bike will ever be sold for. But I will say that dealership is the safer option. Not always though. They can still rip you off at a dealer. This guy actually said this in my previous video. And I've actually walked into dealerships and talked to the salesman. And I've literally seen a dent in the frame of an '08 Gixxer 750. And the salesman's a young guy telling me, oh, that just rubbed up in a shed. I'm like, no, that bike was wrecked for sure. So if you want to get the absolute best deal, you don't buy it from a dealer. They can't lose money on it. So we have to profit on it. We're not even selling it if we don't profit. And then you have trade-in. Trade-in is the lowest value a bike will ever be. The only reason why people typically do that is for convenience, or they see another bike that they want. Because on Facebook, you got to deal with a lot of people. They're asking you, is it available? Then they stop messaging you, or they schedule something to meet up with you and then they're not showing up. So sometimes it can be more convenient to actually trade it in, but you are losing the most money when it comes to that. Because what they're going to do, they're going to lowball you on it. Then they're going to turn around and flip it and make a profit on it, which to me, I don't like to do. I would personally sell it private party, like this bike right here. They're going to give me like maybe $3,000 for this. So if I think I can sell it for 5, they're probably going to buy it for 3, which to me is a joke. I'd rather just keep it or sell it private at that point. But when it's being sold from a dealership, that is the most money that bike will ever be. And trade-in value is the lowest that bike will ever be. You always have cash and you go private party. That's the best deal possible that you can get. And the private party market is always cheaper than dealership retail because they don't hit you with all those fees and they're not a business. I'd say go on Facebook and be patient. However, there are going to be sellers that are asking a ridiculous amount of money, but you'll also notice most of those bikes are for sale for a very long time because the price is way too high. But if you're patient and you look pretty much every day, you'll find some really good deals, and it ends up being a much better deal than actually going to a dealership. Another reason why I refuse to buy from dealerships is when it comes to negotiating. We've all seen the 4 square method where they have the cost, the down payment, the trade-in, and then the actual monthly payment. And we can turn this around and make you feel like you're getting a good deal. You ever see this? Just run. What they're trying to do is get you to focus on the monthly payment and not the out the door price. And the way they make the most money is actually from financing you the bike. We want to get you on that payment. That's the whole thing. We actually don't want you to pay in cash. So you actually end up paying more money in the long run. Yes, we can get the payment down, but that's going to end up costing you more. The longer the loan, the more you end up paying. This is actually being sold from a dealership. It was just posted on Facebook to advertise it. If you finance this bike, you're probably going to end up paying more than the MSRP on this bike. And this bike's 20 years old, which to me is ridiculous. And like I mentioned before, those MSRPs can be kind of deceiving because they always turn into $2 or $3 more than they're actually listed for, which is annoying. And typically when you finance a used bike, the interest actually goes up a little bit. Let's say you are going to finance. Never finance through them. Always get loan outside of them. Because what they do is they call the bank. We got them approved at 4%. Then they tell you, hey man, we got you approved at 6%, whatever it is. It could be, I'm just making up numbers. That could be anything. Then they hit you with the warranty, this fee, that fee, this fee. Then they're making even more money off you. Another thing too with warranties fees, you got to read the fine print, what's covered and what's not. You always want to focus on the out the door price and either pay it all in cash, or if you're financing it, pay it off as soon as you possibly can. So you don't end up going way over that price that you thought you were paying. Because if they get the payment down lower, it feels like you're not actually paying that much for it. But in the end, you end up paying like 5 more grand than that initial price. And you can also offer a trade in. And yes, you can actually get the cost down, but then you actually end up losing value on the trade in when you could actually sell it privately, make more money, and then bring that to the deal. And almost every time you trade anything in, they always devalue it and there's always something wrong with it. That's just how dealerships work. That's why I don't trade things in. That's an annoying thing about dealers is they're trying to get every single penny out of you in any way they can. And dealership retail is the highest value. So you're buying it from us at the highest price. We're buying it from you at the lowest price, and then we're reselling it for the highest price. That's all these businesses. Same thing with iPhone. You ever notice when you get to your last payment, you can either pay like $300 or you can go trade it in and do it all again? I'm like, what is that? So actually, believe it or not, a used bike is actually more profitable than a new bike. They want you to finance it because that's how they make the most money. Whenever you're negotiating a price, always negotiate the out the door price. That's going to bring me into the next thing, and that's the salesman aspect. And the way that you make money in sales is by commission. So the more I sell you, the more I make. And some dealerships do this, some dealerships don't. I could sell them this bike for maybe 7 grand, but I could also sell them this bike for 10. And then I could make more commission. Then I could sell them gear. Then I could sell them this, that, this. If you notice that the salesman's being pushy and they're trying to upsell you with everything, sell you gear, sell you this, sell you that. I don't like that. I actually don't even like going into 7-Eleven. You'd buy an energy drink. Hey man, you want to buy two? You want to buy cookies? You want to buy? I'm like, no, I want to buy this. And I'm not saying that every salesman is like that. Some salesmen are good. Some salesmen are actually genuine people. What I would say is the best thing you can do walking into any dealership is know what you want before you even go in there. If you're the actual expert on the bike, you've done all your research, you know what you're looking at, you know how the bike should be priced, and you can tell if the fairings have been replaced, the graphics, also the odometer. That's another way to get scammed. That is the most tampered with thing on a bike. And the reason why that matters is because a dealership's not even going to know. They probably don't know every bolt, every graphic, every color for that specific model. They're selling bikes in bulk, so they're just trying to make them look good and get them off the lot. What I would tell you to do, don't go overpay at a dealer. Go put yourself in a situation where you can find a private seller and get a good deal. That's always the best way to do it. Personally, when I buy a bike, I like to talk to the actual seller. That's pretty valuable to me. Then when you know certain information about it, that's when you can start negotiating. What you don't want to do is, what's the lowest you'll take? Don't do that. That's not a good negotiating tactic. Figure out the damage, the story behind it, why they're selling it, then you throw out a price. A lot of these bikes are being flipped and had like 5 owners. When I see a bike that's had like 2 or 3 and it's in really good condition, that's when I kind of hop on it. I'm willing to figure out more information on it. It is a little bit more of a risk, but you always find better deals, and the price they list it for is the actual price. I always do this. Go to this site right here, spend $20, figure out the towing history, titling history, and odometer. Usually the odometer is not going to tell you anything. A lot of people do maintenance themselves. They don't really report how many miles are on them. That's the thing with these bikes. They're sketch. When I made this video, I went into pretty good detail on this. I also said this right here. Knowing what everything should look like from the factory can save you so much headache and time. I know every color this bike was made in. I know what every fairing is supposed to look like, every bolt, every graphic, everything on this bike. What I meant by that is you want to have an advantage before you go in. So I already have an advantage, right? And a lot of people ask me, why do you only buy those bikes? My answer to that is because I know everything about it. I know every bolt, every graphic, every fairing, every color, all the problems with that specific year. However, any crotch rocket that has an R on it is welcome in my garage. So if you know all of that information about this bike, you don't even need that salesman to tell you, hey, this bike's been maintained, this bike's good, this bike's, they're going to tell you what you want to hear. What I'm actually looking for is I want to talk to the person that actually own the bike, because then I'm getting specific information about that bike. How long have you had it? What kind of oil are you putting in it? Why are you selling it? Why are you selling it's a big deal? If they've had it for a month and they don't have time, there's probably something wrong with it. But I will say with Japanese bikes, you really have to do something wrong to them for them to just quit on you. Another thing that I don't like about dealerships, specifically corporate dealerships, is the service team. The service department is probably where the most scams go on in any dealership, car dealership, bike dealership, any dealership. You need to trust whoever's working on your bike. That is how a ton of people get scammed. Actually, when I bought this bike right here, it was broken like right when I brought it home. I called a dealership near my house to ask how much a fuel filter would be. Fuel filter, fuel strainer, whatever you want to call it. They told me on the phone it was going to be over $800. I'm like, no, that is 100% not right. Then I found out, I was like, wait a minute, the whole assembly is over $800. They don't like when you bring in your own parts and ask them to fix the bike. Well, we can't guarantee this thing's going to be good. The best person to take your bike to, basically not corporate, someone that owns their own dealership or an honest mechanic, or even better, go online and learn how to do this stuff yourself so you know that you're not getting scammed. They're actually called dealerships for a reason because they rip people off. Dealership right near my house had to wipe the staff and change their name because they made a living, literally a living, off of ripping people off. Ripped off two of my friends. And we know not to go there. And if you look at the reviews, my bike's been there for 4 months, but they wipe everything. Then all of a sudden there's good reviews because they can kind of manipulate the reviews to where you only see the good reviews. I've seen multiple businesses actually do that.